Well, thank you all so much for being here. We're just really excited to get to start this program and to hopefully start what may be a few different kinds of programs for artists that will be featuring through the year. A lot to do with public art because that is an opportunity that the city has right now. I'm Heather Lyons, and I'm Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs in the Mayor's Office, and so I started there just a little over 5 years ago. And so I'm going to talk first about some of the processes going through with the city for public art projects. And then I'm just so delighted to have a panel sitting in the dark that will be revealed shortly. Yeah, there they are. A little hint of what's to come. But I'm going to just walk you through some of that. But before we get started, I just want to say thanks to some folks who are here and for coming. And Chris Cathers in the back is Executive Director of the Kentucky Arts Council. And some of you, I'm sure, have worked with the Kentucky Arts Council in different capacities through the craft market or some of their grants. And also Nathan Zamaron is here with LexArts and also a member of our Public Art Commission. And so I really appreciate them being here. And a number of you are involved in other programs in different ways. So anyway, welcome. To give you a background of how the city of Lexington is now in the position to be commissioning and working on public art. And I'm going to go through a lot of this really quickly, and you can always look this up. But just to let you know, it's been a long time coming. In 2002, a public art commission was actually created by Lexington Fayette County, urban county government, and with the idea that that commission could advise the mayor and the city council on how to create public art in Lexington. However, there was no funding for public art, and so they sort of tabled that until the city could develop a way to provide funding for public art. You know, what was a commission going to do if there was no art to be made? And so then in 2004, in the meantime, they created the Urban County Art Review Board, which was established just to review proposals that were coming forward to be placed on city property. And that existed for a long while. And then in 2018, right at the end of Mayor Gray's administration, a Percent for Art resolution was passed in Lexington. And that stated that 1% of all funds, bonded funds that were being budgeted for capital projects in the city would go toward public art. The fact that they passed that resolution in 2018 then meant that we had an opportunity to actually move forward. And so in 2019, which is when Mayor Gorton took office and when I started working with the city, we formed a public art commission whose job was to then create a public art master plan. And so we worked on that actually for about 4 years, and it was interrupted by COVID, but we spent a great deal of time looking at other public art master plans in other cities, talking with artists, talking with administrators, and so ended up with a finalized plan and a work plan with goals and priorities going forward in 2022. And then in 2023, we were able to commission our very first work of public art for the Lexington Detention Center. And so that was a big step for the Public Art Commission to be able to move forward with commissioning a work. To let you know, the commission meetings are always open to the public. They take place on the first Tuesday of every month at 9:30 in the morning, and they're also televised on Lex TV. And that's really awesome, and they're archived, so if you can't watch it live, you can go back and pick any meeting at any week and be able to watch what we've discussed. So I really appreciate Lex TV, who is also here tonight, and they are recording this as well, and this whole workshop will be available for people to see after the fact. So thank you, Lex TV, for taking care of that for us. These are basic guiding principles of the Public Art Master Plan, and I'm not going to go through them all, but there are a lot of really, some of the core ingredients of the Public Art Master Plan is that there's community engagement, and that the community is actually involved not just in approving what you're doing, but in being able to envision what might occur in their neighborhood or on their street or down the street, and that they are actual collaborators with the work that's going to be done. We want to see a great diversity of art forms, and we want to be able to support art in places where there isn't a lot of public art. The master plan identified 5 different programs, and we're going to focus mostly on one, but the commissioning program is to solicit and select artists to create new work. The acquisition program is to purchase already existing works of art. The loan program, we have not utilized that yet, but it might be that at some point we will be asking artists to loan us work that would be installed for a period of time over a year. Donation, sometimes people are looking to donate works of public art. And then the collaboration program, which is what we're going to talk about most tonight, and that is for soliciting proposals from the community, really encouraging community-driven proposals to come to the commission. And those can come from artists, from organizations, from really anywhere in the community. So just to give you a little update, the commission program, as I said, we have commissioned one work now by artist Dave Cottle, who is here tonight with us. This is a rendering of the work that he will be creating at the Lexington Detention Center. It will be down on Old Frankfort Pike at the green space right as you're turning into the detention center. As part of the acquisition program, we have acquired 3 double-sided carved wood panels that were created by artist Levon Van Williams. The collaboration program, one project has been fully approved. That was a Valley Park project with Michelle Armstrong, who's also here with us tonight. And that project is in progress. And then 2 projects have been approved through the collaborative program to move forward to round 2. Applications to the collaborative program are accepted from anyone that is a resident of Fayette County. So that might be arts and cultural groups, neighborhood associations, it can be city government departments or divisions, nonprofits, artists, whoever. There are just a few things to be eligible. The works have to be permanent public works of art, longer than, installed to be longer than 1 year. They have to align with the goals, priorities, and policies of the master plan, and there are quite a few pages in the master plan that go into detail and depth about those. And the work has to be installed in or on property owned or managed by the Lexington Fayette County government. You can, when you're applying, you can request any or all of the following. Some people are coming to us just asking for permission. They have a project, they don't need money to do it, maybe they've gotten a grant from somewhere else, they just need the city to tell them it's okay. And so they can apply just for permission. The second option is to apply and ask the city for some service or support. Perhaps they have a project, they can do it, they don't need money, but they might need a truck to be able to move something from point A to point B. And maybe that's something the city would be able to provide. Or they might need the leveling of dirt for the placement of something, you know, and if the city has that equipment, that might be something we could provide. And then the third thing is that they can apply for funding support. So we do have funds available. We're looking for projects, and we want to work with the community in creating those projects. this is the sort of quick start of how you would go about applying. And that is, the first and critical thing is that you look at the Public Art Master Plan, and it is online fully. But you really look at that and read it and see what is it that the city's trying to do, and how does the project you're interested in fit? How and where does it fit? How many ways does the Public Art Master Plan connect with the project that you're interested in? You can reach out to, if you're interested in doing something in a park, you can go ahead and reach out to the Parks Department and say, hey, this is something I'm interested in. Would you be interested in this? And see what they have to say. And, lots of times they might tell you, oh, well, you wanted to paint that structure. We're tearing that down in 6 months, or, we're going to be putting a sidewalk through there, but maybe there's another location. So after you have some information from the division or department, then you would apply and submit a phase 1 application. And that's really a very brief form that is just giving us an idea of the general idea of your project. Sometimes you may have an artist selected, sometimes you may not. But that when you apply, that comes to me. And then I send it through different departments and divisions of city government asking for input. And of course, that's where they too would let me know if there's any issue about that site or the project or what's proposed. If there aren't any issues, or there aren't issues that we can't resolve, then that project goes forward to the Public Art Commission. And the Public Art Commission then reviews it and will decide if it can move to round 2. When you're submitting a phase 2 application, it's pretty, it requires quite a bit of information. And so those applications need to be submitted at least 2 weeks before a public art meeting so that the commission members have time to review it. Proposals for the collaborative program, budgets can go up to $50,000. There is a 20% match required, meaning that an organization would need to provide 20% of the project cost, and in-kind donations count toward a match. So if you have volunteers working, you can count a rate of pay for those volunteers and the number of hours they're working. If you're using facilities, if a business is donating their office space for you to meet or work, that's in-kind donations that can count toward the match. If professionals are providing professional services, an attorney or whatever, you can count those professional services as in-kind contributions. And the hint, the vast majority of public art in Lexington is located in districts 1 and 3. And that's basically downtown, the downtown districts. So we are strongly encouraging and really wanting to see public art in the other 10 districts. And so you can always find online, you can check an address by just typing in the address. There's a website online and to see what districts it is in. But I'm not saying we wouldn't ever fund one, but we are really encouraging and wanting to see more public art outside of just the downtown area. So a lot of people think about public art in Lexington, and we are very lucky to have a lot of really great public art in Lexington. And sometimes when people are thinking of public art, they may think of really 2 prominent kinds, and that would be sculpture and it would be murals. And, Lexington is rich in murals, luckily. And so there are other opportunities that I want to suggest to people that you might consider. And, we have artists in our midst who have created things that may not fit into just that typical typical idea of the sculpture and murals. Different projects that have taken different kinds of forms in Lexington. And so I really encourage you to think about other ways. You can't see it here, but there is a sound installation here created by Bill Fontana. And that still exists, 13 years later. The utility box, that's a call that had just gone out, that's just completed. The bus shelters and including art within the bus shelters. Storm drains, those have been projects over the years. And then, in some other cities, sometimes people are looking at, very small opportunities or very large opportunities. Things that not only create a work of public art, but also that solve a problem. And for instance, a lot of cities are looking at, trying to slow traffic and ways to do that. And so these kinds of murals and crosswalks and that sort of thing have been found to be very effective. In honor of Faith Ringgold, who just passed away, this is a neat project in Memphis. Well, it's actually in multiple cities, but they took artists' designs and put them on basketball courts. What does Lexington have? I don't know, a zillion acres of basketball courts. But this was one actually reproduced in Harlem that was just within the neighborhood where Faith Ringgold lived. And here's another example. One was in Memphis. Illuminated, sort of adult toys in downtowns that are really, light as being such a welcome and interesting way to invigorate downtown spaces. And certainly, underpasses, overpasses. This is another sort of calming crosswalk space, incorporating signage with public art. Fences. There's so many fences in this town. I've wished desperately to take on or to have someone take on and turn into works of art. So a lot of people ask about, well, what is city property? Since the Percent for Art program is only for public artwork that will be on city property. And it can be very confusing, and I often will get calls, and then I have to go figure out, is that city property or not? But basically, in sort of the big broad categories, it's parks, it's trails and greenways, transportation corridors, city streets, roads, and medians, and that's where it gets confusing sometimes because a lot of streets are state roads. But interiors and exteriors of public buildings such as the government center, family care center, the senior center, community centers, other public properties, sometimes there are empty lots, literally, and walls and fences. So in the city parks, Lexington actually has over 100 city parks, and there are 5 more coming online in 2025. So certainly the park itself, as well as structures within the park, pool houses, restrooms, walls, fences, utility buildings, other city structures, community centers. These are community centers listed. Interiors and exteriors of those community centers. Other city property, the Senior Center, the Carver Center, Pam Miller Downtown Arts Center, the Government Center, Lyric Theater, aquatic centers, and utility buildings. The Audrey Grievous Center is a school. And then trails and greenways. And, there's a lot of space, there's pavement, there's all kinds of space along those trails that could be utilized. And there's a website there where you can, again, that's just a few of the trails in Lexington. So there's many, many miles of potential trails. And so what is not city property? And a lot of people are, disappointed to find it is not schools. And so, schools are totally owned by the district and not by the city. state or federal roads, and of course, it's not privately owned property, or state or federal property. And so there's a lot of city property, and it does take sometimes some work to identify exactly who is the owner. So that is a very brief and fast review of this collaborative program, but I really just wanted to kind of give you some information. All of this is on our website. I'm always available and happy to answer questions. We're going to move ahead now to asking our panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Michelle Armstrong, and I teach art at Cardinal Valley Elementary School. I absolutely love my job. I've been at Cardinal Valley for 24 years, so I am getting kind of close to retirement also. And I've also done some public art, so I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the public art I've done. So this is The Hive, and I completed this mural in 2016. I brought groups of students to The Hive to paint on the building, so I brought the Ciso-Promatum Art Club, my own art club from Cardinal Valley, and then also some Cub Scouts. And they all got to take turns painting on the lower portions. I won't let kids get up on scaffolding. We also did a little painting on the front of the building with just community from the Hive itself, like the people that work there, Carla Brown that owns the building, some of her family. And I wrote a community arts development grant that I got through LexArts. Nathan was a very big help for that. So I'm really grateful to both Nathan and Carla. They gave me a really big opportunity. And this is definitely my biggest work of art that I have. We also raised some money through, it was called Indiegogo. It was like a crowdsource fundraiser. So some of the money came from that. This is one of the book benches. I did 2 book benches. That was a project. There was a call to artists that I responded to for this. And I think this was a project that went through LexArts, the Carnegie Center, and Arts Connect. This book bench is now at the Waveland Museum, and it depicts the book Flight Behavior, and it was written by Barbara Kingsolver. This is another book bench. This is currently in Bell Court, so it is also on city property. And this one I did for Famous People I've Known by Ed McClanahan. And Ed lived very close to where the book bench was installed, and I really miss him. He's a great guy. I'm glad I got to pay that tribute to him. This is at Valley Park. Since I'm the art teacher at Cardinal Valley Elementary School, I've done a few projects with Valley Park. It's really close to the school. I did this along with a really good friend of mine, Debbie Eller, and then also I had my husband's help as well, Patrick Armstrong. He's a carpenter, and so he is great about having the scaffolding that I need, the tools for different projects, and he always steps right up and gives me help with whatever we're doing. This we tried to make a little bit interactive. We have game boards. There's actually 4 benches, and all 4 have 2 game boards, and then they also have featured things that you'll find there at Valley Park. This one has bees and butterflies and birds. Some of the other benches show some of the things that can be found in the creek that's nearby. And then there's one that shows some dancing and music, because there is some ballet that happens sometimes at the center at that park. I've done a few collaborations with Debbie Eller. She's a very close friend of mine, and we did a Kroger mural. It's in the Gardenside Kroger. Again, this was a LexArts call to artists that we responded to, and it was really, really rewarding. We both teach in this community. I teach at Cardinal Valley. Debbie teaches at Dunbar. So it's an area where we see our students. We both shop at that grocery store. So we really wanted to make it about the community. This is some more work that I did along with Debbie Eller. This is a pavilion at the Hope Center Recovery Program for Women, which is located on Versailles Road. And for this project, Debbie and I wrote a grant and we wrote it to the Kentucky Foundation for Women. And this mural shows the stages of recovery from addiction. And then we also had the residents that live there come and assist us with painting the mural. And then we went on to teach workshops once a month for the residents as well. And they all told us they felt that that art helped them relax, made them feel really calm. Again, it was a really very rewarding experience. So this is a current project. Last Thursday, I took students from Cardinal Valley Elementary School. I run an after-school art club. And this is a project that we took to the Public Arts Commission. I wrote up the project, what we wanted to do. We were approached actually by friends of Wolf Run Water, which is the name of the creek that's in the park. And they were looking for somebody to paint one side of the bridge. The other side had been painted 3 or 4 years ago. So they had some funding for us for the paint. And I thought it would be an outstanding project for the art club. So my art club students are in 4th and 5th grade. So last Thursday, we loaded up my camping wagon. We also had some volunteers who helped drive some drywall benches down to the creek. You can see some of the kids standing on some of those benches. Our science teacher has written grants in the past. She got all of those rubber boots that you see the students wearing, because we will have, usually once a year, we'll have a creek cleanup at the park. So we completed the mural for the most part. We're going to go back this coming Thursday in 2 days after school. And the students have just a few details they want to add. And then we're going to put the exterior varnish on as well. And that last one here, you can see me with my art club. And they're an outstanding group of students.
So next up is going to be Dave Cottle.
I went to art school in Louisville. And when I got out of school, I went to a couple of years to the UK first. And when I got out of art school, I realized I was never going to make a living doing what I wanted to do. So I got into graphic design and public relations, spent about 20 years in that field. And when I approached middle age, I needed a crisis. And so I became an artist full time. And I really wanted to focus on sculpture, and so that's what I did. And I started working in a craft context and craft shows and such. But then as it became obvious to me what I really wanted to do, I moved into sculpture. My background in PR and graphic design and marketing was very helpful to me, just in establishing a presence in the community, having people recognize me and the work that I do. And I think that gave me a foundation that I could build on. And as we talk a little bit later on in this program, I hope you'll ask questions about the business of being an artist in public art, because I think I can offer you a few tips in that regard. This is right outside the public library in Crescent Hill in Louisville. It's called The Joy of Living, and I wanted to create a piece for the library that was a real positive piece of work that would reframe people's attitude towards libraries. That's where that came from. Stainless steel plate. This is at U of L School of Music. It's 500 stainless steel notes on the facade of the School of Music. And that was done about 20 years ago, and the lighting of the sculpture was done just a few years ago as a separate project. But you see that the colored lights around the courtyard itself was the result of big LED fixtures that continually change the color of that light, blending one into another. It's really a beautiful installation. I expect it'll be there for quite a while. This is a piece at the detention center. It's called The Birth of Hope. I wanted to pick a theme that would be suitable for everybody who dealt with that facility, from inmates to families to staff and people driving by. And I could talk about the design of the structure and its symbolism and such, but I'm not going to today because I want to just keep things moving.
Okay, and next up we have Derek King.
Hey everybody, my name is Derek King. Like I said, I'm born and raised here in Lexington. I'm an artist. I draw, paint mainly. I currently work full-time as a tattoo artist. So if you need a tattoo, come holler at me. I can give you some cards. But like I said, I draw, paint. Here recently, I've been doing a lot of like mixed media work. I've been kind of messing around with graphite pencils, acrylic paints, colored pencils, oils, stuff like that. But I got my BFA from University of Kentucky. I have studied there with a focus in drawing and painting. Let's see, this is a mural that I did for Walmart in Hillview, Kentucky. It's a small town right outside of Louisville. I got connected with them through a company called Now Art LA. They're based out in Los Angeles, of course, but they partner with Walmart and they kind of reach out to local artists in the area, and they will kind of, based on your work and your style and what you're comfortable with, they'll kind of reach out to you and say, hey, we have a mural for you to do. And then they'll, fly you out, drive you out, whatever they got to do to get you out there. And then they'll paint it, install it, whatever you want to do, whatever medium that you work with. So this was, like I said, in Hillview. They kind of wanted like the Kentucky Derby theme. They kind of like were into like hot rods and cars and stuff like that. And I added like the Louisville Slugger, and then like there's a couple University of Louisville like land monuments and stuff in there. And so that was just kind of like a mashup of kind of everything that, the store manager wanted. Just kind of added everything together and then put my twist on it, and that's what we came up with. And so this is the mural that I did for the Fayette County Detention Center. This one, like I said, I responded to a call basically that was put out by Heather Lyons. And I was lucky enough to get that call, and I was lucky enough to, be able to do this and take part in this. This was painted on site. It probably took me, I think, about a month. I think this was like the largest piece that I've ever done. I don't remember the dimensions, but yeah, so it was pretty big. I'm also scared of heights, and so I don't really like working on like high ladders and lifts and stuff like that. But I'll do it, but I am scared of heights. So we worked for about a month on this one. I just kind of wanted to kind of give the officers, because this is in the officer dining room, so I just kind of wanted to kind of give them something to, escape from, kind of get away from work.
It's been so many times that I've seen someone with really good work, but they either only wanted to do, they already had an idea in their mind and they were submitting that idea, but it wasn't really related to what the call was about, or they just weren't, paying attention. And, when a call goes out, there has been a group of people spending enormous amounts of time typically in deciding what is that call going to be for. What is it they're interested in artists responding to? And with grant applications, there are always goals and objectives for artists applying. What is the intent and purpose of that application? So it's really important to read that carefully and think about how you're responding directly to those questions, the ideas that are expressed in that RFQ. I just can't really impress that enough. So another question, I'm just curious for all of you. talk a little bit about what would you like to see emerging in the public art world here locally, whether it's something you may involve yourself in, or what would you like to see springing up within public art in Lexington? We don't have to go in the same order. Anyone can jump in if you'd like. So I'm not putting everybody on the spot, but.
Is it on now? Well, when the bluebells, I don't know if you remember a million slides back when there was the giant bluebells. That's actually also one of my pieces that I designed. That's in Wellington Park. And my design on that is for an entire children's sensory garden. And we have completed the first two pieces, which are the giant ferns and the giant bluebells. And and I hate that I'm mentioning this and promoting my idea, but the full storyboard on that is a walkable kind of a children's nature book. And I've already designed, a giant spider and a giant salamander and several things that are part of our natural landscape, and wanted that to be a walking storybook where we educate. And a lot of the work that I do is obviously we focus on ADA and inclusion and accessibility are really, really important. And we miss that a lot in our public art, who has access. So in a lot of my designs, all of my current designs, I always include Braille and plaques that can be read, and smaller iterations for the youngins, and usually a QR code that has some sort of narration and education. I would personally like to see the opportunity to finish the Wellington Children's Sensory Garden, because we put those first two sculptures in 2018 or something, 17. It's been a long time. So I hate that it's a shout out to what we've already started and would like to finish, but those are the types of things that I would like to see, things that are that where people really can interact and learn from the work and that type of thing.
The bluebells chime. Yeah, you can ring them. Yeah.
And they are currently being repaired, so don't go look for them right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I would just like to say honestly that I think Lexington is well on the way with the new Percent for Art program and that kind of thing, on to seeing what I would like to happen here. I love basketball, I love bourbon, I love horses, but I also would love to make Lexington more of an arts destination. We travel all over the world, and usually what we're going to do is eat food and see art. And we would love people to come to Lexington to do that. So.
Since I'm not Lexingtonian,
That's okay.
I still, however, would like to say that I'd just like to see more art. I think more art of any kind and all kinds everywhere. Look towards those neighborhoods that are really needing it and try to figure out how to get it in there. Because once you've got a piece installed, then your process is going to be a lot easier to document that and to send other people to see it. And the word of mouth will spread and it will build for you, but it'll also create so much of an impact in the city. And the more people bump into art, the more they realize the benefit to them individually and to the community. And we just need more of it.
Here, here.
I mean, to piggyback off what Dave said, I mean, I feel like art everywhere is necessary, because it's going to inspire people. It's going to create conversations. It's going to be informative. It's going to be educational, like you were saying earlier. And so, I mean, I feel like, just more art in general is definitely a necessity. But to piggyback off what Prometheus and them were saying, I feel like we should, definitely have more interactive art for sure. Just because I feel like it it helps us get involved with art. It makes you want to be more like involved, more part of it, rather than just sitting there like looking at a painting or a sculpture, which is totally fine. That's what I love to do. I do that all the time. But like interactive art, it gets the kids involved, which, you know, our kids are our future, you know? So like if they're involved and they're inspired by this, it's gonna make them wanna create more and do more with art in the community. And so.
I think I'll piggyback a little bit too, but I think definitely more art in the areas of our city that need that lift. In any kind of area where we feel like people are impoverished or that there's any kind of, I don't know if it seems dreary in the neighborhood, anywhere that needs that lift and needs to be vibrant, I would love to see public art in that area. And I would love to get some kids involved if it's possible. That's my passion, so.
Great, thank you all so much. I'm just so, I can't tell you how happy I am to have all of you here and all of you here and just getting to talk about art and the importance of it in the community. So I'm just thrilled about this evening and hope we can do this many more times. But yes, we're going to open it up for questions now for the public. Before we get too much farther along, though, I do want to say thank you so much to Celeste Lewis and the Downtown Arts Center for letting us have this lovely event here in the theater. And it's the perfect setup for this. So thanks so much. So yes, we're going to open it up to questions now. And I also want to say thanks to Faith Lindsay. Faith works with me in the mayor's office. She is working a considerable amount with the Art on the Town program. Where's Yolanda, Julie, a couple of artists here are involved with that program. Those are the art carts that you see parked in Tandy Park. But I'm going to ask Faith to run around with the microphone and let you all ask your questions, okay? Thanks. And Dawn, right through there. Thanks.
Question for Heather. Do you happen to know the new Baptist Hospital, $245 million hospital? Do we now have $2.45 million in our 1% money pot?
That's not a city facility, unfortunately, but Nathan may have some information. Do you have any information about their art buying plans for that facility?
I will say that, not directly, but I will say that we just launched a local arts and health council, and we do have representatives from Baptist and several of the other health facilities that are actively having conversations about how art can play a role in our healthcare system. So I think there's more to come on that, but this is a new initiative that if you're interested in arts and health, there's always room at the table at those council meetings. We have a meeting coming up this Thursday at noon at Bluegrass Care Navigators. So, yeah.
Okay, I guess along the same lines then, is the percent for art thing only for city-built projects
For
then?
city property.
City property?
Yeah, so just buildings or land that is owned or managed by Lexington, Fayette County Lexington, Fayette Urban County
Okay,
government.
so they're building the hospital, but there's not a dedicated 1% of that money that goes into a pot
Hospitals
then?
are not city facilities.
Okay,
No,
Oh,
that
okay.
is totally their own company.
but the new senior center would then probably fit into that. That
Yes,
was
it
just
will.
announced and
The new
budgeted.
senior center, definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, in the next budget, now it's not been approved yet, it's with council now, the mayor's recommendations, but the next budget has quite a high capital project bond in it, which would mean hopefully pretty high 1%.
Yeah,
That will go toward public art. But and the interesting thing about the senior center, any projects $10 million and above, any city projects, that means that the 1% must be spent on that property. So the senior center is a $25 million project. So 1% is going to be a $250,000 allotment that will be spent at that senior center. So, you know, that's a nice significant amount for that one location. So that's nice.
Yeah, I guess just maybe one more question for the panel, because most of the discussions I think that we've had here are about answering calls, RFPs and RFQs, but the percent for art project is going to be like a big pile of money that I know you and I have talked about, where we would just initiate out of the blue a project. So it's not like answering a specific call. So I wonder.
Well, sometimes it is, though. The detention center project
Well,
that Dave is doing, that was a
right,
call.
Right, but
It's using percent for art
okay,
funds.
sure. But aren't there others then that would be just purely initiated by the
Yes,
artist?
absolutely. And that's like Michelle
Okay.
came. Now,
Yeah.
she didn't ask for money. She was just asking for permission. But
Yeah.
that neighborhood collaborative story, or neighborhood stories collaborative program, that is for ideas, projects. You initiate it and you bring it to the commission.
Yeah.
That particular category does. Now, you can apply and come to the commission outside of that $50,000 cap. But you have to have a really, really strong case. And again, we really want things that aren't happening downtown.
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
Thanks.
so there's room for all of those scenarios. Faith down here. Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy. Well, she'll come over.
Thank you. Well, I just have an idea that I want to throw out, and because you say, you know, you want to reach other neighborhoods, you want to involve children, and I think one way one could possibly do that is just by projecting images of artwork by children, by other artists on walls all over the city, because there are lots of empty walls, I'm sure, somewhere. Because I was thinking about down at the Kentucky Utility Building, there used to be those snowflakes that were falling, you know, in the winter. It's very effective. I think it's fun to see it moves. It's pretty, you know, whatever. And I think surely there are lots of empty walls somewhere, and I don't know what it would take, but I can't imagine that it would be too complicated and too expensive to have a projecting system somewhere. And because then, if you have a school, for instance, and those kids have been doing artworks, can you imagine to just take pictures of their work and have it shown on a wall? They'd be thrilled to bits. Because anything I've done with kids, they are so excited about the whole thing. And I think that would stir up the thrill of it all, but also make it lovely, a place where you can sit, you can have a bench, you can have your picnic or whatever, look at art while it's going on. And I don't even know how this idea would be presented, but you can do that, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to do the work for it, but I think it's an idea that shouldn't be very expensive and probably not that hard to make.
Well, the expense comes in having the appropriate projection system that can handle throws of a significant amount of distance and the intensity of the light. But I will tell you, we have discussed in the redesign of Phoenix Park that there is a structure there that we might be able to house a projector in that could then aim at the Phoenix Park wall again.
I know it has to be safe somehow,
Yeah.
obviously, but I think
And
that could spread
weather-tight.
the art.
Yeah,
everywhere.
no, it is lovely. I mean, projection is absolutely lovely. Yeah, I'd love to see kids' art.
Projectors on city property, that fits into the percent for art, right? Oh, I was just asking if the projector's on city property, it fits into your percent for art, but even though it's on being projected onto a private.
Of course,
Yeah.
that's actually, yeah.
They did a call, they did a call several years ago for a wall sculpture for that building, and it never came to fruition. I don't know what happened with it, but just a side note. Oh, yeah.
What other, Nancy down there. I'll just, sorry.
Well, first of all, there is a question at the end of this. I too had a long career in the arts field, and I want to commend all of you because you are bringing something to our world that we desperately need. Now, the question at the end of this for the other artists here, not one of you mentioned money. Maybe you'd like to address how you determine if you're going to do something based on money, or I love your social outfit, but I'm sure there's a realistic bottom line to that.
Sure.
It again, for me, sort of depends on the project. I think it was mentioned earlier, I applied to do the bridge project at Valley Park. Since I was taking my students, all I really wanted was for the paint to be paid for and to have permission. If I were to, now that I've done a number of murals, because I've done more than just the slides that I have, I've done murals for people, individuals mostly, and I've started to have a rate, and I'll usually charge by the square foot, and it depends on how detailed the work is. It might be $10 a square foot or 20 or 30. It depends on how much detail I put in the work. But pricing your art is always challenging, in my opinion. And like I said, that's come after doing a number of murals for me.
For me, I mean, like I said, I've done projects from, $200 all the way up to, $20K, stuff like that. And so, I mean, it just all kind of depends. For me, it's just all about like what I get to do as an artist and what I get to create. If I get to be myself, or if I have to, if I can't be myself, then I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's really not about the money or necessarily. I mean, we do have to pay bills, and stuff, all that. But I mean, like I said, if it's a good project and it's for like a school or for like a small community or something like that, and the budget's not really there, I'm still going to take it on just because I feel like it has a good message. And so, I mean, that's kind of how I stand on as far as like pricing and stuff. And I charge by like square foot as well, like Michelle was saying. So, I mean, it all kind of depends. It's iffy. So it just, like I said, it all kind of depends on, I guess, where the project's going, who's doing it, stuff like that. So
I'm 73 years old, so show me the money. When you get these RFPs, request for proposal and request for qualifications and so on, most of the time they'll give you a sense of what the budget is going to be for the finished project. But there's also an issue of what's the stipend going to be for you to develop your creative concept and your presentation if you are chosen to be a finalist. And I've seen so many of these things that say, well, we're going to give you a grand total of $500 to drive to a distant state and put on a presentation, and I'm not going to do that anymore. If the people who are putting this process together don't have enough respect for artists to pay them for their work, even if it's a modest amount, it's still got to pay our rent. It's got to keep us alive. And that's just the way I feel about it.
For us, I'm sure Amanda will be happy to add to this, but we have a lot of overhead. We have like 14,000 square feet of studio space. And so it costs us a lot to be on our property. And so we have to be pretty particular about the projects we either apply to or accept. And on the stipend, I agree with Dave. Sometimes it's a pittance, and if it's a project we really feel strongly about, we'll go ahead and apply. The New York job, they didn't even have a stipend, and we made 2 trips up there to present before we even knew that we were the winners of that. So we had a lot of money invested. But I will also say on the stipend, we always lose money. If we get shortlisted and we're putting an actual proposal together, it always costs us more than the stipend is. But that's the cost of doing business is the way we look at it. But yeah, so.
I think we all avoided talking about money because it's uncomfortable. I don't like to talk about money. I don't like to talk about how we price things, and I don't like to feel like I'm trying to sell somebody something. Do other people in this room feel that way, or is it just me? I'm going to be brutally honest. Brad and I own a bronze foundry. It takes about $500,000 to own a small bronze foundry. So when he said we have overhead, that's true. We have a lot of overhead. It's several $1,000s a month for us just to meet our basic costs before we can do anything else beyond that. We do a lot of work for the federal government. We have $7 million of commercial insurance, and those things cost thousands of dollars a month. We own forklifts, we own cranes. He talked about our facility. So we have to approach what we are planning and hoping to do and produce. We have to back into that sometimes, which is a travesty, really, because as artists, we just want to create. We just want to come up with these wonderful ideas. We just want to make our communities more beautiful. All of the things that you all want to do, we want to do too. I mean, everybody in this room is an artist in some way. But again, you have to feed yourself. And Brad and I are in a position where we have to make lots and lots and lots of money every month before we can feed ourselves if we want to keep our facility. So we just have to approach it a little bit differently. Now, having said that, I will add this. We lived below the poverty line for years. And we know what it feels like to live in poverty. We lived in our barn for almost 10 years before we even started building our own house. It was an apartment in a barn. It was really bad. It was bad. It was terrible. And because we know what poverty feels like, that informs everything we do. And as we have come along, we have decided to give back as much as we possibly can. So again, like all of the other artists up here on the panel, yes, Dave, show him the money, right? We feel that way too. Also, on the sculpture for the Capitol, we were $100,000 short on the money we needed to produce that, and we borrowed it, because we felt like it was so important, the Nettie debt, not the COVID memorial, my apologies. And I'm only being this brutally honest because I want everyone to understand that we are have so much gratitude for the work that we get, but we also know what it feels like to really struggle and to be hungry and to be poor and to be homeless. And art can help everybody understand and heal and grow and come together. And that is what we are using to try to bring about social change. So I hate talking about the numbers, but it's just one of those things that you have to discuss because things have to be paid for. So I hope that was helpful in some way and not harmful.
And I'd like to add just one more quick thing. That's probably the worst dilemma that artists face is we do have to make a living. And it really stinks to, basically have your passion and your, what you want to be doing with every fiber of your being be dictated by the budget of a piece. And also, sometimes it's a job. Sometimes I don't want to be in the shop working, even if it's a project I absolutely love, because it's hard work. My dad was a professional photographer, and I watched him go from shooting pictures for fun to only doing pictures that he had to take for work because he did a lot of commercial photography because he just lost his passion for it because it became a job. So that's one of the things we fight every day it's a job, but it's also our passion. And so, it's sometimes hard to put your brain in the right kind of frame, I think, to still appreciate it. Don't you all agree? Yeah.
Let me add one comment about sales.
There's your marketing guy right there.
I've owned my own company most of my life since I was an adult. And sales sure gets a bad rap, but it's something that has to happen. And if you can start reading about salesmanship, it'll help you a lot. It boils down to good listening and good communication and caring about the people that you're with, whether it's a client or whether it's a partner or whatever. I mean, you're in a position, hopefully, most of the time, to help facilitate somebody else's vision, you know, for their facility, for their community, whatever. I mean, you're just a cog in that machine. But in order to get there, you have to present yourself as somebody who cares and somebody who really understands what's going on with the people that you're working with. And so you have to have a bottom line in your mind that will enable you to continue. And that's what you need to ask for, plus a little bit more. You know, people sometimes think profit is a dirty word, but profit is what allows you to sustain yourself during those times when the work dries up or when there's an unexpected problem like my truck just died. Nothing about business is dirty. It's just a way that our country works and a way that a lot of the world works. So try to get comfortable with that. It's not that you're prostituting yourself in any way. It's just a matter of making the whole puzzle work.
And other people get paid for their work. You know, other people get paid for their work, and everyone in this room deserves to get paid for their work. And, you know, in particular, you know, like Dave said, you have to, in as much as we don't want to do it as artists, you have to approach your career as a business. Wouldn't you agree? And in that business, you know, one of the things Ed Hamilton said to me early on was he does not offer free work for auctions. He just doesn't, because he feels like everyone turns to artists to give of themselves for free. And he said, I have to approach this as a business in order to have a successful career, in order to continue doing what I love, and in order to continue sharing this sort of beauty. You know, everyone here wants to share their beauty with the world. And you can't do that if you don't have money, unfortunately.
Real quickly, sorry. Okay. I would add one more thing. Coming out of the university system as a student for a long time and also as a professor, that's really a disservice the public universities, art departments are doing to their students. They are not teaching them business. They should collaborate with the business schools. They should collaborate. By nature, when you get a degree in art, you're an entrepreneur. I mean, you don't generally go work for somebody else unless you're a commercial artist or a graphic artist. But so you're an entrepreneur. So these students need to be taught how to do that, you know, just so they have some tools other than making things.
By the way, your library's full of books on all this stuff. You can learn, you can teach yourself, you can study. Anything that you want to learn, there's information out there. I mean, sometimes all it takes is just Googling, you know, and you can pick up a lot of information. So don't be shy, have a lot of energy about it, and have care, and you'll succeed.
Well, I just want to thank you all so much for being here, for everyone coming in. I hope this has been helpful. I have certainly really been inspired and very excited about all of the information imparted by our panelists. So please help me thank them for being here. And I want to just let you know, please reach out to me at any time. I'm happy. There are often questions I don't know, and I'm happy to try to figure out answers to those. Look on our websites, you know, all of the Public Art Master Plan information. Calls are always on the Public Art Commission website. And, you know, I hope that if you are not on an email list, I don't know, how you found out about this, but if you're not getting emails from me, please let me know. I have some cards up here. You can email me and I'm happy to add you to a list so I can let you know when other kinds of workshops or meetings like this are taking place. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate all of you coming and hope we'll see you again soon.